There we go. Right, I'll give you the link. Copy. Where do you want the link? Yeah. Sorry about that, mate. I don't know what was going on. Being really, really odd. Right, hyperlinks. Week 1. Yeah, what? So hyperlinks. Yeah, I've no idea what was going on there, mate. Is the volume working? Can you hear me? Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, it's just telling me that it's not coming up with a little volume buzzer thing that it sometimes does to tell me how loud it's being. Right, YouTube link. Can't see where. Oh, there you go. YouTube stream. Control V. You got that? Okay. Yeah, can you hear me? Definitely through the right. Yeah, I can hear you now. I can hear you hearing me. Yeah, and I should start to see people appearing. Yeah, only, well, not delayed really at all. Yeah. Oh, wow, look at that. Yeah, 11 people. 13. Oh, it's racking up. Oh, Glenn first in. Hello, Glenn. Good evening. Oh, exciting. There are some real Galacticos who we're gonna be seeing tonight. Steph Graham, hello. John Elder, always a pleasure, never a chore. Let's get the tasteful little stack of books in there. Hi, Claire. Good to see you. Well, you know what I mean, figuratively speaking. Look at this. Yeah. So as soon as you've joined, if you can write your team name in the chat there, just so we can start ticking off who's in and who we're waiting on. So just your team name in the chat as soon as you can, please. Thank you, Victoria. Hello, John. Hello, Will. Thank you for that. Yeah, so for guys, even if you've already said hello to me, can you just stick your team name in the chat for Farid, please, so we can start, ticking things off in his spreadsheet. There is a huge spreadsheet. It's a thing of beauty. It really is. Hannah Rickaby, hello. The Quiz Queens. I'm assuming there is at least one other person in your team who's probably female. Bookie's favourite, Rhea Walters, and partner Eddie Mann. The Quarantine, good name, strong. Glenn Bradbury of Bag End, of course. Social Quistancing, good. Current, like it. Agatha Christie, it's a classic from Pam Leach. Hello, Ro. We got Holla. Okay. Oh, look at this. Josh Melling. Oh, he's really in his element in a quiz, that's for sure. Finance Our Chances is probably my favourite quiz team name of the evening. Alice Bason's in with Pear Tree. I know, Ro, I know. Jane Roberts, the Blues and Reds. Hello. Oh, wow, Craig Armstrong's here. Blimey. I didn't realise it was that. I didn't realise it was that kind of quiz. Is he? God, I imagine he will contribute almost nothing to that team. Hello, Vari. We've got some trainee teachers as well. Another great name. And Cleaver, Ilona Farkas. Hello. God, honestly, this is amazing. Oh, as you're typing your team names in as well, and we know there are some people without YouTube accounts who might not be able to post in the comments. That's fine. We'll give it a couple of minutes and we'll just assume everybody's in that's going to be in. What I'd like you to do in the comments would be nice to see how many people you think we have participating in tonight's quiz. So if you just type an estimate, type a number, and then I'll tell you just before we start how many players we actually have in tonight's quiz. Because it's been quite popular. It's been quite popular. So we've got some numbers coming in. Correct, yeah. No, not there. Yes, Phil Beaumont et al. Is here. Joe Wicks is all you need. Phil, I was impressed to see the little Latin flourish. Not surprised, of course, when you entered the team sheet. Blimey, can you believe everyone thinks we've got over 100 people playing, Farid? Fun fact about Team Quiz Reed: Chris Reed is not in that team. That is a team of Chris Reed fans rather than Chris Reed himself. Sheila, good guess. Well done. Keep it classy. Tom Winfield's here. Wingfield's Redemption. For those of you that don't know, Farad and I did a little sort of beta test of this quiz, not with the same questions, obviously, but just to check the software with a few friends of ours. And Tom Winfield really did excel in that one. I think he managed a grand total of about 2 points. So he is, as his name suggests, out for redemption tonight. And I think he's probably brought some friends who are smarter than him along with him. Wow, 167. Gemma Welch thinks we've got. Jane Roberts, 240 people. Farid, when are you happy to start? Yeah. Okay, yeah. So we're going to give people about another minute and a half to 2 minutes just to sign in and get ready to go. We were running slightly behind. As I was having done a dozen practice streams and everything to make sure it all works, YouTube decided to tell me that I needed to install some encryption software literally just before we went live, which was slightly concerning, but that managed to settle itself. So sorry, the link was slightly late, which is why we'll start maybe 2 or 3 minutes after the scheduled start time. But let's be honest, you've got nowhere else to be, so stop rushing. Hi, Julia Rutherford. Hello, Helen Hassan. Alice, if you just let your dad know that I'll be sending him the email with all of the answers attached in a moment. Obviously, we couldn't have a quiz without the Basins somehow managing to stitch things up. That just wouldn't be right. Phil Beaumont thinks we managed 49 players, Farad. He is. He would say a realist. Oh yeah, as already a little bit of abuse is starting to come in from Johnny Hewitt. I'm just going to take the opportunity to say that there are this is a family quiz, and there are people here who are playing with their families. It's also, you know, it's gone through the official NSB sort of email and all that sort of thing. Thank you for actually joining the quiz, by the way, and not assuming it was a phishing scam. I'd like to think, yeah, we would have done it a little bit smarter than that. If we could just promise to keep it clean, keep it family friendly. Obviously, there are going to be times when you're going to want to call me names. You're going to want to, you know, hurl abuse at me. I understand. I probably deserve it. But if you could just do that at your screens, or maybe save it until you next see me, or perhaps just send me a private message telling me what you think of me, rather than putting it in the chat. That would be great. We gotta keep it classy this evening. Ready to go in 1 minute? Right. 30 seconds. 30 seconds. So get yourselves comfortable, charge your glasses. Oh, that's a private message. That's probably going to be abuse. Oh, no. That's just Claire Morell says that she's in Winfield, has now abused me, which is fantastic. Thank you, Tom. Claire Morell's are in, and Laura Checkley's in as well. Right, so I'm talking to everybody. I'm not going to name names. Farad, how many people do we have playing, by the way? What is the final number? I just said keep it clean, Farad. You can't say things like that. Wow. That is incredible. 100 and... which I think actually means that, yeah. Ready to start? Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to do that in a minute. Emily there with Let's Get Quizzical. I think she's suggesting we just get on with it. So, right, evening, everybody. Thank you very, very much for joining us this evening. I know you're all very, very busy, but yeah, this is we're trying something new here. Hopefully, it goes as planned. But the first thing to say is how fantastic the take-up on this has been. Just having a little game for the people that got in early enough in terms of how many participants we have. We actually have 160 players this evening. Which is incredible. I think that means that Gemma Welch was the closest with 167. But yeah, I mean, I was expecting 30, 40. I think Farad optimistically said about 80. So yeah, I mean, it's incredible. So thank you so much for making this worth our while. What I'll do now is I'll just give you a breakdown of how this is going to work, and then we're going to jump straight into round one. So what you'll see in a moment, a link to an answer sheet for the first round of questions is going to appear in the chat. You also have an email that Farad sent through to you. Yeah, Gemma, you were the closest. Each round, there are 4 rounds tonight, 4 rounds. Each round is 15 questions, and each round is themed. 3 of the rounds are straightforward question and answer, and round 3 is a music round where there is a video, a link to a series of intros that we want you to listen to, but I'll talk about that when we actually get there. The first 2 rounds are straight theme general knowledge. What you need to do is you need to listen to me read the questions. You can write in the answers as you go into the answer sheet, or you can wait until the end and write them in then. I will read the questions once through. I'll then read them quickly through a second time, so you can make a note for any that you missed or you misheard. And after that, I'll give you about 5 minutes to submit your answers. fill your glasses, nip to the loo if you need to. Then we will go through the answers. I'll probably subject you to some more painful minor patter while Farid calculates the scores. I'll then give the scores on the doors. We've got a lot of teams, so I'll probably just give the top 10, and then you'll be able to see the leaderboard as well. The amazing thing, and this is where his genius really does come in, you'll be able to see the leaderboard, but you'll actually also be able to see a sort of statistical breakdown of how many teams got each answer correct and which the most and least answered questions were. It's really a little bit of alchemy, which is really, really impressive. I keep talking to him. I'm not going mad, but you can see that in my ear, my compatriot here, my fellow quizmaster, Farid, is in my ear doing all the kind of technical stuff. He is, if you will, the Q to my James Bond, the ground control to my Major Tom, the Sonny to my Cher, and he's really making sure that everything ticks along smoothly this evening. Because all I'm doing, really, I've written the questions, I'm reading them out, and that's it. He's doing all of the hard work. So, ground control. Are we ready to start round one? Do people have the link to the first answer sheet? The answer sheet's just going in. Oh, one more thing. Two more things. Thing one, pen and paper is probably a good idea. This is a super high-tech quiz, but never underestimate the convenience of being able to quickly scribble something down and maybe make a note of questions that you missed to listen out for, or ideas to share or anything like that. So pen and paper might be a good idea, even if it's just a coaster or something to scribble down on. And the second thing, and it should go without saying, but I'm going to say it anyway, is John Marshall. I mean, everybody, please don't cheat. Now, what counts as cheating? Does having a smarter spouse or friend in your team count as cheating? No, of course it doesn't. Does using Google to check an answer count as cheating? Yes. Now, just if you're going to go old school and you've got an Encyclopedia Britannica on the shelf behind you and you quickly check that, that's still cheating. That's using Google, but with, books instead. It's still cheating. If it's not in here, then don't write it down. Don't say, oh, I was just checking how to spell it, or I knew it, I was just being certain. Just don't cheat. Yeah, there is nothing at stake in this quiz. There are no cash prizes. We've got to play it in the spirit of things. We can't stop you, but please don't do it. And if you do, I hope you have terrible, terrible, terrible night's sleep for many years to come, and that the guilt eats you up from the inside out. On that note, on that bombshell, Farid, round one. Okay, so you should have your answer sheets up. I would suggest having your answer sheets in a separate window on your screen kind of here, so you can listen to me, watch me read them out, and maybe type the answers as you go. That might be a good way to do it. But hey, you're your own people. You do whatever you like. What do I know? So, Fred? Oh, yeah. Yeah, and just make sure that you've got the answer sheet for round one, not any of the subsequent rounds. This is the first round, so it sort of makes sense, doesn't it? Okay, so each round, 15 questions. Round one, the theme to round one is indoor pursuits, something that we're all getting rather used to at the minute. Indoor pursuits. So, first question of the quiz. Question number one. Which popular indoor pursuit has a name which derives from the Old French for little hook? How did you know? God, you're so clever. Question two. How many squares are there on a standard chessboard? And that's not a trick question. It's not hidden squares, just how many black and white or dark and light squares are there on a standard chessboard? Despite me trying to make it a trick question. Okay, this one's, here's one for Josh Melling. Question three. Who starred as author and amateur sleuth Jessica Fletcher in daytime TV favourite Murder, She Wrote? Question 4. True or false? The original Monopoly board was based on New York City. So I just need true or false there. Don't need anything else. True or false, the original Monopoly board was based on New York City. Question 5. Dave Lamb offers the witty voiceover for which long-running reality TV show which first aired in 2004? So Dave Lamb offers the witty voiceover for which reality TV show? Question number 6 now. In which board game might you be forced to place one of your counters on the bar between the inner and outer board after being hit by your opponent? And I've said the technical game terms there. So in which board game might you be forced to place one of your counters on the bar after being hit by your opponent? Question number 7. If you were to watch all of the official Eon James Bond films during your quarantine period, how many films would you end up sitting through? Now, there are always some people who ask about the technicalities of a Bond question like this. So to clarify, that does not include the comedy spoof, David Niven, I think it was, Casino Royale. And it does not include the non-Eon production Never Say Never Again, starring Sean Connery, but it does include all of the other Bond films in the franchise. So how many official Bond films have there been? Something of an anorex question there, I think, maybe. Question 8. In how many of aforementioned Bond films would you have to suffer through Roger Moore as 007? So how many Bond films did Roger Moore do? Question number 9. What long-running radio comedy would you be listening to if you heard Jack D adjudicating a game of Mornington Crescent? And there are no double points for huffing on this answer. It's just the 1 point. Question 10. And I know there are a fair few card sharps in the quiz tonight because they've taken money from me in the past. In Texas Hold'em poker, which hand would beat a flush but lose to 4 of a kind? Question 11. Listen carefully to this one. The 2019 Man Booker Prize was unusually shared between 2 authors. One was Bernardine Evaristo, but who was the other, who won for a sequel to a 1985 dystopian classic? Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jane, we're going to do a repeat of all of them at the end. Question 12. Which ongoing US drama or US drama series features characters such as Nicholas Brody, Carrie Matheson, and Saul Berenson? Question 13. What indoor pursuit would a cruciverbalist excel at? That is a cruciverbalist. Bit of Latin in there for you, Mr. Beaumont. Thought you'd appreciate that. Okay, question 14. This one's a tough one. I wouldn't be surprised if Farid's matrix spreadsheet says no one got this one right. It's a tough one. Only one film directed by a woman has ever won Best Picture at the Oscars. For a point, name either the film or the director. You don't get 2 points if you give me both. 1 point for either the film or the only female director of a Best Picture winning film. And final question for this round. How many wedges of cheese / pie / cake / it's definitely cheese, and if you say anything else, you're a lunatic, are needed to win a standard UK game of Trivial Pursuit? How many wedges do you need to win a game of Trivial Pursuit? Okay, I'm now going to read through the questions again a little bit more quickly this time, and then I'm going to give you your prompts to submit your answer sheets to Farid in a moment. So, question 1, which indoor pursuit has a name which derives from the Old French for little hook? Question 2, how many squares on a standard chessboard? Question 3, who starred as Jessica Fletcher in Murder, She Wrote? Question 4, true or false, the original Monopoly board was based on New York City? Question 5, Dave Lamb offers the voiceover for which long-running reality TV show which first aired in 2004? Question 6, in which board game might you be forced to place one of your counters on the bar between the inner and outer board after being hit by your opponent? Question 7, how many official Eon James Bond films have there been? And question 8, in how many of those did Roger Moore star as 007? Question 9, what long-running radio comedy would you be listening to if you heard Jack D adjudicating a game of Mornington Crescent? Question 10, in Texas Hold'em poker, which hand would beat a flush but lose to 4 of a kind? Question 11, who was that 2019 Booker Prize winner who won for a sequel to a 1985 classic? Question 12, which US drama series features characters including Nicholas Brody, Carrie Matheson, and Saul Berenson? Question 13, which indoor pursuit would a cruciverbalist excel at? Question 14, only one female-directed film has ever won Best Picture at the Oscar. For a point, name either the film or the director. And finally, how many wedges are needed to win a standard UK game of Trivial Pursuit? We are now going to give people 5 minutes, aren't we, Farid, to make sure that their answer sheets are complete and submitted to you. I believe there is just a submit button at the bottom. Is that correct? So they are filling all the answers and hit. We've got everybody's. Is that right? Brilliant. Okay, you have 5 minutes to make sure your answer sheets are full up and that you have submitted them to Farid, and they are starting to come in now, which is fantastic. And I think I will take this opportunity to have a quick break myself. Everything all right? What was that? What, from the fridge? That seems unnecessary. Honestly, the perils of live television. Imagine if I hadn't turned off my microphone. So while we're waiting, we can just take the opportunity to say hello to a few other teams as well. Who have we got? We've got some really interesting teams actually. We've got a real kind of eclectic mix of season quizzes in the form of, who is it? It's a very bizarre team name. John Elder, Johnny Hewitt, Claire Alderson have joined forces, hopefully in different houses. Yes, absolutely. Not wanting to, violate social distancing for the sake of the quiz. Quiz Read, again, Chris Reed not in this team. They're just huge fans. That's Helen Kennedy, Justine Davis, Abby Imerson, and Sarah Bradley Brophy. Real Galacticos there. The Shaw family. Dom back from university to lend his considerable brain power to their efforts. David Chu, one of the sort of the real classy quizzes that we've got with us tonight, and John Marshall, who is eternally popular on his own, because even when everybody else is stuck indoors, nobody wanted to be in a team with him. And you know what? I bet he'll do quite well, because it's easier to look up all the answers when you're on your own. How are we looking in terms of submissions, Mr. Sheridan? Almost everybody or everybody? Mm-hmm. Sorry, just checking we've got all of the answer sheets in before we move on. Yeah, I can see the entries received. So we're waiting on I'm Spartacus. Okay, yeah. Quarantine Edwards. The Quiz Queens, who we know are here. And the Brownings, who we haven't heard from. So of those teams we know are playing, we just, there we go, Quiz Queens are in. And are we assuming that the other three teams are DNS? Okay, if answers, as I start to read out the answers, are we going to assume that these teams cannot get points for this round if they were to submit their answers after this point? 3, but none of them have said anything yet. Quarantine Edwards, the Brownings, and Spartacus. Okay. Yeah, Hannah, saw yours. Thank you. Matthew, which is your team name now? Really, there isn't a Kardashian round, but there's something close. I'll tell you that for free. You were going to love the philosophy round. Okay, are they in? Okay, quarantine. Okay, so happy to start. So what we're going to do, I'm going to go through the answers. Farah's going to mark whilst I'm doing that, and then we should have a leaderboard for you when the answers are done. Just before I read out the answers to round 1, I just want to give a shout out to Olive and Lulu, who are 3 today. They are Glenn Bradbury's cats, of course they are. He's a grown man. It's really quite sad. Anyway, moving on from Olive and Lulu, I will give you the answers to round 1, and I can also see generally how people were getting on with those answers as well. The little pie charts there. Oh, well, give me an idea. Okay, so the answer to question 1, the popular indoor pursuit with a name meaning little hook in Old French, is of course crochet. Crochet. Answer to question number 2, there are 64 squares on a standard chessboard. It's 8 by 8, so there are 64 squares on a standard chessboard. It was Angela Lansbury, Dame Angela Lansbury, who starred as the author and amateur sleuth Jessica Fletcher in Murder, She Wrote. A classic quiz question, this one, number 4. True or false, the original Monopoly board was based on New York City. That is false. But before I reveal where it was based on, if anyone wants to... there are no points to this one, but if anyone wants to show off how clever they are in the chat by telling me where they think the original Monopoly board was based on, when it was known as the Landlord's Game, I will have a look at those in the chat and see whether anyone gets that. Question 5, Dave Lamb. You'd often hear him commenting on, people rifling around in other people's lingerie drawers while they're trying to cook a beef Wellington, and the cat's on the table eating it's of course Come Dine With Me, which is somehow still lurching on 16 years after it first aired. And I guarantee that coronavirus won't kill that. Board game, you might be forced to place one of your counters on the bar between the inner and outer board after being hit. That is backgammon. This one sorted the wheat from the chaff a little bit. If you were to sit and watch and marathon all of the Bond films from Dr. No all the way through to Spectre, you would sit through 24 official James Bond films, 24 of them. I'm sure you've all got a favourite. I bet no one's favourite is Die Another Day. And of those films, seven of them starred Roger Moore as 007. The man who couldn't have had a name more suited to the Bond franchise, really. Question number 9. I'm sure Radio 4 is very popular amongst all of you, but the long-running comedy drama is, of course, I'm Sorry, I Haven't a Clue. If you haven't watched it before, haven't listened to it before, do. It's great. It's fantastically funny. Yeah, Mornington Crescent is one of those games that just has completely made up rules that everyone tries to play along with as they go from tube station to tube station trying to get to Mornington Crescent. Poker. Yeah, this one we've done quite well on this one. The hand that would beat a flush but lose the 4 of a kind is, of course, a full house. Let's be honest, if you've never played poker before, you've probably heard of a full house, so it was worth a guess. Question 11, a bit more of a highbrow one perhaps. The 2019 Man Booker Prize shared between 2 authors. I think for the first time in about 30 years. It wasn't completely unprecedented, but it's very unusual. The first was Bernardine Evaristo, and the second was, of course, Margaret Atwood. She won for The Testaments, which was a sort of loose sequel to the 1985 classic The Handmaid's Tale, which if you haven't read, you might have seen in the incredibly uplifting TV show that was on not all that long ago. This one's a Sharadine favourite, actually. The US drama series featuring characters such as Nicholas Brody, Carrie Matheson, and Saul Berenson. That is, of course, Homeland. Some of you might remember. Yeah, some of you might remember way back when that first aired, and it was all about the US officer, and they weren't sure whether he'd been turned to sort of terrorism with Adrian Brody. What's the actor's name? Damian Lewis, Carrie Matheson, and Claire Danes, and Mandy Patinkin, Saul Berenson. Question 13. The clue's really in the word here. What indoor pursuit would a cruciverbalist excel at? Well, crucius or cruxis is cross. Verbalist word, crosswords. Cruciverbalist would excel at crosswords. Well done, Phil Beaumont. Question 14. Only one film directed by a woman has ever won Best Picture at the Oscars. For a point, name either the film or the director. The film was The Hurt Locker, about the bomb disposal team, starring Jeremy Renner, and the director was Catherine Bigelow, who, of course, also known for was married to James Cameron and so on, and frankly is a hell of a lot better director than he is, I think. And finally, question 15: how many wedges of cheese do you need to win a standard game of Trivial Pursuit? It is, of course, 6. Melling didn't even guess, I'm being told. He needs to give everyone else a chance, doesn't he? Seven left. Great. So, yeah, absolutely. So we'll be ready to give you the scores on the doors in just a moment. Let's see. What was the? Oh yeah. Did anyone have a go at? So I've got, in terms of the Monopoly boards, Atlanta, close. Salt Lake City, close. Bradford, Skegness, Sheffield, Atlanta City, all close. No one's quite got it right. It was Atlantic City, which is in New Jersey, rather than Atlanta, which is in Georgia. But yeah, it was Atlantic City. Fun fact, it was originally designed as a game to highlight the tedious evil of capitalism. And if you've ever got to the end of a game of Monopoly and thought, actually, this game is really, really boring, and it's really, really hard to come back when you're behind, and it seems to just sort of really reward luck rather than skill, that was the original point, because that's capitalism, baby. The idea is that it was meant to just become this tedious slog where the person who had the most property just inevitably won the game while everyone else suffered. And of course, late in the game in Monopoly, the safest place to be is in jail. So try and figure out pluck the moral out of that story. Other than that, I don't think there are any questions in there that should cause too much consternation. Oh, yeah, who's that in the chat there? The Hodgson family said to my daughter, "I'm sorry, I haven't a clue," and she said, and she didn't write anything down. It's a classic, yeah. When I was testing out the questions, so I said, I read that question out and gave the answer, and the person I was reading them to said, well, you probably shouldn't put it in the quiz if you don't know the answer yourself, which I think is sage advice. Almost there. Is it worth me sticking in the answer sheet for round 2 whilst we're waiting? I'm saying that very optimistically, like I actually know what I'm doing. Yeah, I know where it is. It's just whether I can get to it without, ending the stream prematurely and ruining everyone's night. Oh, I forgot to top this up. I know what a lot of you at home are thinking. I thought that Joe Rolleston would be a red wine man. You're right in theory. In practice, it gives me a thumping headache, I try to avoid it. Do you want me to put that? Are you still going? Okay. Yeah, I'll do that. I won't worry about. I'll let you do the round 2 answer sheet hyperlink then. I will just go to the league table. I can see nobody. Well. That is quite a leaderboard. So there are probably slightly too many teams for me to go through the whole list each round. So I'll probably just go for the top 10 and then do the final breakdown at the end. So if you haven't been read out, it's because you're not in the top 10. So you can. Subject to moderation. Are you sending them to your head of department? What do you mean subject to moderation? No. If people think you've got it wrong, then do they know who you are? You don't make mistakes. You've got spreadsheets to do these things for you. Okay, anyway, we've got quite a close field at the moment, so there are lots of sort of joint places. So it may be that you're on the same points as another team, but you're just below them alphabetically. So in, I suppose, joint 9th place it would be. I'll just go, so 10 and 9, both on 10 points. Finance our chances, and 1, 2, 9 pen. In the next 2 spots, so 8th and 7th, are the Tom Winfield Fan Club, misguided souls that they are, and Ola with an H, which is they're on 11. Welch's Disassemble are on 12, putting them in 6th place. We've then got a tie for 5th, 4th, 3rd, which is Pear Tree, Oh Purgatory Does Exist, and the Hewitt Elder team of Ethel Woldold, which sounds very Anglo-Saxon. I quite like it. And top of the tree, the only team to have got 14 points from that round, the Morels. The Morels. Very, very good. Clearly, Pete Basin didn't get my email with all the answers in, or he's playing a very long con. Any questions no one got right there, Farid? Any wipeouts? No, good. Toughest. Come dine with me, surprisingly challenging. Not many Bond fans in the room, metaphorical room. Not many Radio 4 fans either. Fair few poker players, a few people who are literate, which is nice. A few fans of Homeland, very few people do Latin, and loads of people play Trivial Pursuit. So good spread there. Are people ready for round 2, Mr. Sheridan? Do they have the answer sheets ready to go? Okay, so you should have had in the initial email the answer sheet for round 2, and it's just gone into the chat as well. Could you make sure that you have your answer sheet for round 2 now open in front of you? Not round 1, you've already done that, and not round 3, because that comes after round 2. Round 2, please, round 2. Two, many of you will rejoice to hear, is a geography round. It is a geography round. Don't worry, Rhea, the Kardashians are coming, but first we just need to negotiate some geography. So same as before, I'll read the questions, I'll read them again, so you don't need to ask for any repeats. You'll then have time to talk them through, submit your answers before I let you have a little break, and you can do whatever you need to then. So we're going to go straight into round two. So round two, geography, question number 1. Yorkshire is by far the largest English county, but which county is the second largest? Question number 2. In which country is the world's most southerly city, Ushuaia? So I want the country which hosts the world's most southerly city, Ushuaia. Question number 3, and I'm going to preface this question. Anyone that's seen Pointless before will recognise this sort of question prefacing. This question refers to countries, and I specifically am referring to recognised sovereign states that are part of the United Nations in their own right. Okay. So with that in mind, there are 2 letters of the alphabet which no country in the world begins with. One is, of course, X, but what is the other? Question 4. Honshu is the largest of the islands which make up which nation? Oh God. This quiz will get a lot harder if I can't hear Farid. Sorry, I just dropped the earbud. The earbud fell out. Yeah, good. Question number 5 in round 2. In which European country would you be if you heard the locals speaking Magyar? Question number 6, and anyone who was watching Richard Osman's House of Games earlier on this evening will actually have a little bit of a hint on this one, because it did come up there, I noticed. What is the smallest US state? Its state capital is Providence. So what is the smallest US state? Its state capital is Providence. Question 7, just designed to remind you of all of those wonderful holidays you will not be taking in this Easter break. In which city would you find the Uffizi Gallery and the Ponte Vecchio? And continuing with the God, I'd rather be there than here theme, question number 8. In which ocean are the Cape Verde Islands? Question number 9. 2 countries of the world share an identical blue, yellow, and red striped flag. One of those countries is Chad. Which European country is the other? Question 10. Which southern African capital city was named Salisbury until 1982, when it was renamed to celebrate the country's second anniversary of independence from British rule? So I'm looking for the capital city here of the country, not the country itself. So which African capital city was named Salisbury until 1982, when it was renamed to celebrate the country's second anniversary of independence from British rule? There are a fair few geography teachers participating in tonight's quiz. Now, immediately I can hear them from here. Yeah, but we don't teach this sort of thing. All we really do is Oxbow Lakes. Yeah, I know, but people will still expect you to do well, so you need to do well. I know it's all about coastal erosion, but just this is the people are going to expect you to do well here. Question 11. Speaking of things on the geography syllabus, in which Asian country might you pay for a delicious glass of kumis with your hard-earned togrog? My pronunciation of togrog may be a little off, but you'll forgive me. Question 12, almost there for this round now. Which river, the 20th longest in the world, begins in the Armenian highlands before flowing through Turkey, Syria, and Iraq and emptying into the Persian Gulf? The area between it and the nearby river Tigris is known as the Fertile Crescent. So just looking for the name of a river there. Question 13. Which small country is the most densely populated in Europe? Question 14, penultimate one for round 2, as we approach the halfway mark of the quiz. What term describes a ring-shaped coral reef encircling a lagoon? A famous example is bikini in the Pacific Ocean. See, there you go. That's the kind of actual boring geography that geography teachers teach. Nothing exciting like capital cities or languages. It's reef formations. Fascinating. Barry, we don't have Graham Smith in tonight's quiz, do we? Speaking of seasoned quizzers and geography teachers, probably a good job as well. He's very, very good. And final question for this round. On which Scottish island would you find the town of Portree, the fairy pools, and the Talisker whiskey distillery? So once more with feeling on these, and then you can submit your answers. So question number 1, what is the second largest English county after Yorkshire? Question 2. In which country is the world's most southerly city, Ushuaia? Question 3. 2 letters of the alphabet no country in the world begins with. One is X. What is the other? Question 4. Honshu is the largest of the islands which make up which nation? Question 5. In which European country do the locals speak Magyar? What was it? Undecent amount of collarbone, sorry. Question number 6. What is the smallest US state with state capital in Providence? Question 7. In which city would you find the Uffizi Gallery and the Ponte Vecchio? Question 8. In which ocean are the Cape Verde Islands? Question 9. 2 countries, identical blue, yellow and red striped flag. One is Chad. Which European country is the other? Question 10. Which southern African capital city, and by that I mean the south of Africa, not necessarily South Africa, just to clarify, was named Salisbury until 1982, when it was renamed to celebrate the country's 2nd anniversary of independence from British rule? Question 11. In which Asian country might you pay for a delicious glass of kumis with your hard-earned togrog? Question 12. Which river, the 20th largest in the world, begins in the Armenian uplands before flowing through Turkey, Syria and Iraq and emptying into the Persian Gulf? The area between it and the nearby river Tigris is known as the Fertile Crescent. Question 13. Which small country is the most densely populated in Europe? Question 14. What term describes a ring-shaped coral reef encircling a lagoon? A famous example is Bikini in the Pacific Ocean. And question 15. On which Scottish island would you find the town of Portree, the Ferry Pools and the Talisker Whisky Distillery? So same as before, you've now got 5 minutes to discuss them, have your arguments, threaten, well, if it's the one I said it was, I'm never speaking to you again, do all that sort of thing, get your answers in, hit the submit button, get them into Farad so he can start counting them up. Yeah, 5 minutes, and then we will start going through the answers. Good. And you'll see in the comment section as well, Farad's uploaded the league table and the answers and stats. The stats was something that after our kind of beta testing, I think it was John Marshall had asked for. He wanted to see which questions people had found difficult and done well on. So Farad's in an afternoon, he managed to put that together, which is really, really cool. So you can see whether you were the only team to get an answer right or whatever. Or whether the 6 answers you got were the same 6 everybody else got. Yeah, he's wasted in teaching, really, that man. It's amazing the sorts of things he can come up with. All I do is write the questions. Everything else, it's incredible. How are we looking on the light front? Liv, and I presume, oh dear, don't want that. It's too bright, probably. No, probably better before. Liv and I presume Les, there is no history round this week, but the rounds will change week on week. So this week you've got 4 themed rounds. Next week we'll go for a completely different 4. There's no sport round this week, for example, but there will be next week. I'm going to try and get a mix of more unusual round themes like the indoor pursuits, and then some more common sort of rounds like geography or sport or music or food and drink or whatever. I'm going to try not to go too highbrow, too lowbrow. There won't be a philosophy round, but equally I'm probably not going to do a whole round on the Kardashians. But hopefully you find that the balance is somewhere in between, and there's something for everybody, except for you, Winfield, because differentiation only goes so far, mate. You know, I can teach 93, but bloody hell, some things are beyond me. Farid, are you ready for me to start going through the answers? Will that give you enough time? No, not yet. We're still waiting on lots and lots of submissions. Will Neeshaw, one of the only people ever to say, "God, I wish there was a philosophy round in this quiz," and Glenn Bradbury desperately hoping for the frog round that will never come. Cool, 3 minutes. That's good. The Newcastle United round. It's yeah. Well, the next round is music. Everyone likes the music round, and I've gone for a whole spread. Everything from medieval polyphony through to the Baroque. I've got some early classical, some late classical, some stuff in the Viennese style. There's some modern music from sort of 1880s, 1890s. There's really something for everybody in that round. You'll really enjoy that. Although there's no Brahms. Guy's a hack. I can't stand him. Anyway, take a couple of minutes. I'm gonna shut up. Yeah. Oh, don't mind me. I'm just reading the Divine Comedy again. I know. Read something new. How many outstanding? Well, frankly, I don't imagine any to be outstanding, but let's see how many haven't submitted as yet. We are currently waiting on Blue and Reds. Marshall, you haven't got yours in yet. It's amazing. It's amazing what a bit of naming and shaming can do. Suddenly they come straight in. Lady Covidus, very good. Still waiting on you. No, they are. They were in the first round. And either Winfield's given up and gone home. Well, more home than... Oh, no, he's in. He's in. Lady Covidus, Marshall's coffee, coughing, or quizzing. And other than that, I think we're good to go. Yeah. No, we've got a couple more to come in. Yeah. I would say 2 active teams, or if we can call Marshall still effort. Come on, one minute. Otherwise, you're going to lose your points for this round. Can't wait. Some of us have got things to do. Even in something where I'm literally only person on the screen and I'm doing all the work, it's still Les that gets people telling him that they love him and they miss him. Honestly. That man, he's got something. Hopefully we're all enjoying it so far. Anyway, that's halfway. Largely keeping to the time we said, about 2 hours. It's been about an hour, and hopefully we're having a good time. The questions are not too hard, not too easy. We've got a music round coming up, which would be a bit different. You won't have to listen to me. You'll get to listen to some music instead. We are now waiting on still Marshall by the looks of it, unless he's messaging me to tell me he's struggling. No. Marshall, how long does it take to Google all the answers? You're on your own. You You don't have to type the whole question into Google. Just pick out the keywords and then hit enter and see what comes up. Yeah, given up because he's Melling. No, stop, no. This is a classy affair. John, have you given up because you're not first? In fact, not even in the top 10. In fact, I don't even think he's in the top 20, is he? Yeah, he's probably gone. Probably gone home. I'm going to have to go through the answers. If he submits, we'll give him the benefit of the doubt, possibly, but probably not. Okay, so the answers to round 2. First question I asked was, if Yorkshire is by far the largest English county, what is the second largest? It is Lincolnshire. Lincolnshire is the second largest English county. It's half the size of Yorkshire. Yorkshire's about 15,000, I think, square kilometres, and Lincolnshire's about 6. But yeah, Lincolnshire's second. Anyone who's watching Race Across the World at the moment probably got this one. The world's most southerly city is Ushuaia in Argentina, specifically Tierra del Fuego, and that's the target for the current series of Race Across the World. If you're not watching it, do. It's really, really good. First series, they were going west to east towards Singapore from London, and this one they're going down Central and South America. It's a really good sort of travel program with a competitive edge. You'd probably like it. Question number 3. Now I can already hear Justine cursing my name, but the 2 letters of the alphabet which no actual country in the world begins with are X and W, because, and I hate to say it, Wales isn't a sovereign state. Hasn't been for like 500 years. So yeah, and there's also Western Sahara, which is a disputed territory, and there might be one more that I'm missing. But in terms of actual sovereign states, nothing begins with X and nothing begins with W. Some of the more unusual ones that you might think, oh well, no Q. There are obviously places like Qatar. You've got Yemen, a few Zs. So it's just X and W. Honshu is the largest island that makes up the nation of Japan, of course, the big one in the middle where the big cities are. Question number 5, you would hear the locals speaking Magyar if you were in Hungary. Question 6, the smallest of the US states with capital of Providence is Rhode Island. The full and official name of the state is actually Rhode Island and the Providence Plantations, which kind of gives it away if you know that. Question 7, the Uffizi and the Ponte Vecchio are, of course, in the beautiful city of Florence in Italy. Question 8, the Cape Verde Islands are in the Atlantic. They're off the Atlantic coast of Africa. This is another classic quiz question here. Question 9. 2 countries share an identical blue, yellow, and red striped flag. One is Chad. Which European country is the other? I suppose all you need to know is which European country has a blue, yellow, and red striped flag, but it is Romania. And neither of these countries is backing down over ownership of its flag. Sometimes you see the flag of, I think it's Chad, goes for a lighter shade of blue. But they're officially only acknowledged as being blue, yellow, and red, and therefore they are legally the same flag, and neither of them's backing down. Which Southern African capital city was named Salisbury until 1982 and renamed? That's Harare or Harare in Zimbabwe. We're not accepting Zimbabwe because I asked specifically for the city, but it is Harare, which was formerly Salisbury. Question 11. You might get your glass of kumis with your togrog if you were in Mongolia. Kumis, of course, being the fermented milk drink that's popular in Mongolia, and togrog or tagrik, I think it might be pronounced, is the national currency of Mongolia. And of course, it's got Genghis Khan on, where we've got the Queen. Answer 12, the river. I described the course running from the Armenian uplands through Turkey, Syria, Iraq, into the Persian Gulf. The big giveaway probably being the Fertile Crescent between it and the River Tigris. It is the River Euphrates. Sometimes it's Mesopotamia, you might call that land, or the cradle of civilization, but it's where lots of the sort of ancient civilizations grew up. So it's the Euphrates River. And I imagine we're being quite kind with spelling on that one, Farid. Well, good for them. Which small country most densely populated in Europe? Monaco. Question 14, the ring-shaped coral reef encircling a lagoon, famous example being Bikini. It is an atoll. Bikini Atoll, site of the first nuclear tests and things like that. And finally, the Scottish island on which you would find the town of Portree, the beautiful fairy pools, and the Talisker whiskey distillery. That is the island of Skye. How are we looking? Ground control? You've marked them all? Honestly, you're making me look good here, mate. Well, relatively. What was that? Don't reveal that anything bad has happened. Okay, I won't reveal that anything bad has happened. Got it. You can count on me. I'm like a steel cage of secrets. Oh, look at that. Okay, so are you now going to sort the total by descending? No, total, please. I don't think there's much value in giving people the round score. I think we might as well keep them abreast of the running total. Let me just slightly lower the zoom so I can see everything at once. Okay, interesting. Bit of change across the board and some gaps now opening up. So we're going to go through the scores rather than round by round. We're going to go through the total. So this is where you currently are in the quiz. We'll do the top 10 or thereabouts again. In fact, in this case, it will be exactly 10 teams. In 10th or joint night, 10th and 9th, a team has no name and Let's Get Quizzical both have 21. We've then got with 22 points, Tequila Mockingbird and the Morels having fallen down slightly on geography. We've then had a surge up through the ranks from Quiz Read on 23. A couple of points behind both the Tom Winfield Fan Club, Pear Tree, and L's Hugh Worldold on 25. So that's 3 teams on 25. And then at the top of the table, with 26 points each, we've got 2 teams. Welch's Disassemble and Oh Purgatory Does Exist are leading the pack from the top with 26. So actually only 6 points separating first place all the way down to about 15th, 16th. A lot of people sort of coalescing around 19, 20, 21 points, which means there is still a lot to play for. We've still got 30 questions left. So we're still doing very, very well. Don't want to go too far down the table and start making fun of people, but generally speaking, doing pretty well. I'm not going to do round score, Glenn, because it'll take too long. You'll be able to see the leaderboard yourself in a moment when in fact, you can see the leaderboard. You can see the league table there, which has round by round scores and a total score. The next round, are we going to put the link in to when I say so? So they know what to do? Okay, so round 3, we're going to do a little bit differently. Rather than me reading out the questions, what Farid and I have done is we have put 15 short song introductions onto a video that you're going to be able to access in just a moment. It's all one clip. It's about 5 minutes long. If you look at the screen, it has question one, question two, and there are nice gaps and chunks in between the different intros. So it should be quite clear which intro, which question you are listening to in each case. The answer sheet is exactly the same as before. But of course, you need the round three answer sheet. Now, Farah, just to double check, I'm just clicking on that music round now, and I am getting an error message. If other people just follow that music round link, and if anyone's having any trouble with that, just let me know. Oh yeah, and make sure you're opening that in a new tab, otherwise you're going to lose the stream. So either control click or right click, open a new tab so you don't lose the screen as well. I'm getting that weird little cartoon dog pulling things out with his mouth. That might just be me. Link is at the top of the answer sheet as well. Yeah, so if you go onto the answer sheet and you click on the link at the top, you should also be able to find it there as well. And that link looks a little bit more, alive. Yeah, there we go. That link's a bit more alive. Yeah, I'll tell them that in a second. So yeah, once you've followed that and you've opened that in the new tab, you should see our swanky logo, and you should see about 5 minutes and 16 seconds. Hang on, Will, hang on, John, I haven't told you to start answering yet. If you wait for the instructions to finish, you'll find that I'll answer your questions before you need to ask them. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let you listen to those at your leisure. You can play it once through, listen to it all, stop, listen to the songs twice, whatever you like. Each clip is between about 10 and 15 seconds long, depending on, I've tried to cut it out before any vocals kick in because it is an intros round, and I only need the artist. Not interested in the song. You'll get no points for giving the song and the artist, and if you just give me the song instead of the artist, you'll also get nothing. So it needs to be the artist of the song. As far as I'm aware, none of these songs have ever been covered. But if you believe there is a cover version of the song, I'm always looking for the original artist. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to say you got 10 minutes. Just 10 minutes, listen to it at leisure, fill in your answer sheet and get that submitted. The time is currently 20:45. So we're going to want people's answers submitted by 20:55, which will give you time to listen to it a couple of times, get your answers in, and get it submitted by hitting that submit button. Okay, so you don't need me to talk you through anymore. You got 10 minutes to answer the music questions, listen to the intros, and give us the artist in each case. Hopefully there are no additional questions that I haven't already answered. And Johnny, we live in hope. We live in hope. I'm just going to disappear for a second, but you've got something to be getting on with, so you don't need me to sit here and supervise you. Yeah, have fun. Okay, hopefully you can all hear me again and couldn't hear me before because that could be quite embarrassing. It's 55. I did say you had until 55 to get your answers submitted, and some of you have and some of you haven't. So can we just hurry up and get that done so that we don't fall too far behind? Hopefully some of you have found that music round a bit easier than some of the previous ones, and your strengths have sort of shone through a bit. Yeah, if we can have those answers in as soon as possible, please, that would be fantastic. Make sure you hit submit as soon as you have got all your answers in. From the all killer, no filler NSB quarantine quiz week 1, round 3 music round. Well, a 15 out of 15 round makes everyone feel a bit better about themselves, doesn't it? I imagine some egos were getting a little bit punctured after those first 2 bruising rounds. So take what you can get. How are we looking now? Answers starting to come in? It's already in the chat, isn't it? I'll just copy it. Tom Wingfield's just asked if I can just give a shout out to a few former NSB students. His team, the Tom Windshield Fan Club, and 4 Tins and a Bog Roll all include former members of former students of the school, who Tom says are all still mates to this day, which is it's a heartwarming true story. Thanks for coming along. Thanks for joining in. Thanks for bumping up our numbers. Thanks to any sort of spouses and friends and kids who have been sort of dragged into this as well. I'm sure under ordinary circumstances you would have nothing to do with your sort of family's work life, but as these are unprecedented times and this is a very fluid situation, I hope you haven't found it too torturous. Chris Riches. Chris, are you on a team? Oh yeah, I always forget that. I didn't even see the Riches family team. What's your team name, Chris? Where are you? Unprecedented was deliberately thrown in there as a little bit of a COVID-19 quarantine bingo. I think it's replaced the word robust in terms of things the news always says. Oh wow! Imagine that. Imagine having the same team name as a. That's like you're like Chad and Romania. You're exactly the same, except you're completely different. Well, that's what Chad said, Chris. That's what Chad said. They copied us. Have we got all the answers in now, Frank? No, we are still waiting on a few answer sheets here. The Bridgewater 4. Carol Baskin did it. Marshall's bowed out, I think. Lady Covidas we're still waiting on. And other than that, we're all in. So that is, Lady Covidas, you're going to get a reputation as lollygaggers if you're not careful. Twice about to speak to you now. And it is indeed your own time that you're wasting. And Carol Baskin, is that Melling's team? Melling, Carol Baskin, Melling, hurry up. I know you don't know whether question 7 is Beethoven or Mozart. Just pick one and be done with it, and you'll kick yourself later. We've got trouble in paradise over there in the science department. Good job. We won't be going to work tomorrow because I think it might all kick off between Pete and Steph. If you want to put your predictions for how that fight would go in the chat, I think we all know the answer to that. Sorry, Pete. I mean, I've played netball with Steph Graham. It's terrifying, absolutely terrifying experience. Kind of like a genetically enhanced honey badger. We are almost there. We've got everybody other than the people who are playing, including John Marshall, who's thrown a strop. And we are good to go, Mr. Shannon. We are good to go. Okay, I will go through the answers. So answers to round 3 are coming up. Remember, I only needed the artist rather than the song, and therefore we'll only be marking people correctly if they've given us the artist and not the song. The first fantastic song was Cat Stevens with Wild World. We have accepted Yusuf or Yusuf Islam, but you probably know him best as Cat Stevens. The second intro was The Clash with Should I Stay or Should I Go? The third was one of the artists of the moment. It was Billie Eilish with Bad Guy. Would any pub quiz music round be complete without the answer to question 4, Earth, Wind and Fire with September? The answer is no, it wouldn't. Always need that one. Everyone knows the song. Does everyone know the artist? We'll find out. Question 5. If I say it's one of the songs of my childhood, I imagine that won't make me too many friends, given when it was released. But Green Day was the answer to question 5 with American Idiot from the album of the same name. Question 6 was, of course, the Canadian songstress Shania Twain with her That Don't Impress Me Much. Brad Pitt, rocket scientist, etc. Don't impress her much. Question 7. Anyone that knows me will know I'm a huge fan of this artist. That was David Bowie, whichever you prefer, with Ashes to Ashes. I always thank Bowie for actually getting me my job at NSB in my interview lesson with Mr. Smith. I remember I was somehow ended up on one of the tables air guitaring to the Genie. I think it made a bit more sense in context, but clearly he enjoyed it. Question 8, the answer to that was probably the toughest one in this round, I think. That was the Talking Heads with their hit Psycho Killer. Bit longer on that one, really. The bass line, very recognisable, but quite a tough one. Question 9, still the greatest pop group of all time. That was Girls Aloud with their seminal dance floor filler Love Machine. An absolute classic. One of those songs you can just never skip when it comes on your playlist. You can never skip it. Question 10 was the mysterious Sia with Elastic Hearts. No, don't. I mean, if he's put the wrong answer down, Farrah, don't give him the mark. That would be bizarre. That's kind of how the quiz works. If they put the right answer, we get the mark, and if they put something that's completely different, they don't get the mark. I mean, that is the principle we've been working on since round 1, isn't it? What a shame. I imagine it would have been a lot worse for him had All's Correct been off this evening. Question 11, that was Gorillaz, Damien Albarn's animated band with Dirty Harry. Now, I threw question 12 in there for a good friend of mine. I remember once I think we were on the Norfolk Lakes Year 8 residential, and without a hint of irony, and certainly without a hint of shame, this man declared that this was, in his view, the greatest song of all time. Not one of the best, the greatest song, the best song ever written. It was, of course, Taylor Swift's Love Story. So, Johnny Hewitt, that one's for you, boy. Question 13, that was Bruno Mars with Marry You. Question 14, I think one of the most sort of easily recognisable intros ever, probably. Another band I'm a huge fan of. That was The Jam with That's Entertainment. And question 15, it's another one of those where you probably know the song, but you might not know who sang it. But for those of you that did, well done. It was Falco with the peerless rock anthem, glam rock anthem, Rock Me Amadeus. That was Falco. What a great song and what a great man. How are we looking on the answers? Fantastic. Just a couple of minutes away from the scores on the doors for round 3. Johnny Hewitt in the chat says Taylor Swift's Love Story, the greatest song ever written. If you disagree, please in the chat now, whilst we're waiting for Farad's marking, tell us what you think the greatest song ever written is. If you agree that it's Taylor Swift's Love Story, then say it. Vindicate Johnny. Who on earth is Joe Exotic? Does Joe Exotic strangely remind anyone else of Dave Hodgson, or is it just me? Who is Joe Exotic? Oh yeah, Farad says that he would be disappointed if Leith Hassan Wild doesn't do well on this one, given that he is, of course, a double X Factor alumnus. I think he, he was a winner, wasn't he? Was he with the wonderful Seeing Phosphenes, if I remember rightly? Yeah, a sort of Northampton's answer to the Arctic Monkeys. They were a class act, so we're expecting great things. Well, I would watch it on Netflix Player, but somebody deleted the account that I used for some reason. No, this is not the time for a domestic. I'm sorry. Oh, this is the Tiger King thing. I've heard about this. Yeah, I have no idea what it's about. I've spent the last 2 or 3 days literally just writing quiz questions. Just slaving away for your entertainment. So sorry I haven't found time for TV. And obviously John Marshall keeps setting more and more unreasonable deadlines for work to be done as well. This needs to be done for Wednesday afternoon. Does it, John? Does it? Yes, it does, apparently. So he's, yeah. Anyway, before I start ranting about my boss, thankfully Farad has managed to get all of the questions for this round marked. So I can give you the leaderboard after round 3. Oh my God. If you know what, you won't believe it when I tell you, but here's the top 10 as things stand. Slightly more than top 10 again because we've got some joint scores. So Just sort of propping up the top 10 with 34 points, we've got Monkman and Siegel, Let's Get Quizzical, and the Morels. Still in contention, but they have fallen off a bit from their early lead. Quarantine Edwards, Financier Chances are both on 35 points. We've then got a little bit of light we've got Quiz Read and Pear Tree, both on 38. Little bit of shuffling at the top, but not much. On 40 points each, the Tom Winfield Fan Club, Eld, How World Olds, and Oh Purgatory Does Exist all have 40 points. And I believe just nudging ahead from second place on 41, we have Welch's Disassemble with a lead of 1 point going into the final round of 15. And again, we've got 10 points between first and about 20th. So very, very much still anybody's game. Well, I mean, except for, people like Beaumont and Melling and, well, John Marshall, because he left. He had a straw. But yeah, no, close, very close. Right, are we ready for round 4? Should we just get this done? Fantastic. So the answer sheets for round 4, as well as the league tables and sort of statistical breakdown, are over in the corner of the screen there. Get your round 4 answer sheets opened up. And for the last time this evening, let's get ready to rumble. We'll do exactly the same as before. Read through them once, read through them all again, and then you'll have time to submit your answer sheets and furiously delete your Google browsing history in case there is a steward's inquiry. Uninstall Shazam. You never had it in the first place. We can't prove anything. No, we can't prove anything. So round 4, you're going to get 15 questions on the only thing keeping us sane in these dark times. That is food and drink. Food and drink. The connoisseurs round, we'll call this. So, just give you another minute to make sure you've got those answer sheets open, and then I'm going to start reading the final 15 questions on food and drink. Cheers, everybody. Melling is banking himself on a late charge for the playoffs. Admirable optimism. Is that Mrs. Sharadine there? Oh, superb. Okay, so question 1 on the final round of tonight's quiz is, and would it be a food and drink round without a question about pasta? No, it wouldn't. So, question number 1, which bow tie shaped pasta has a name which means in English butterflies? And no pressure, language team, but of course Farid says you really should get that. And of course any pasta fans out there should probably get it as well. Question 2. Gin, pineapple juice, and cherry brandy are the main ingredients of which cocktail, first mixed in the long bar of the Raffles Hotel around 1915? So I'm just after the name of the cocktail there, just the name of the cocktail. Okay, question number 3. There are 6 officially recognised Scotch whisky regions. For a point, name any 2 of them. So that's not a point for each. You don't get a point for naming any more than 2. You need to give 2 regions for a point. And a Scotch whisky region is just the place in which it is officially distilled, and each region will name the region on the bottle and so on. Like French wine regions, you'd have Scotch whisky regions. So there are 6. You need to name 2 for a point. If you don't know it, you can probably figure that one out. Question 4. Which meat dish is traditionally made by frying a large fillet of tenderloin between 2 lesser pieces of meat, which are usually discarded afterwards? It was named after a French diplomat. Should the languages team get that one as well, Farad? Question 5. In which country would you most likely be if you were eating gyros or souvlaki? Alternatively, which country is the home to those 2 dishes? If you're saying, well, I could be in London. More likely that I'm going to be in London than in this place, isn't it? Stupid question, stupid quiz. From which country do these things originate? Gyros and souvlaki. How about that? Okay, question 6. This is a real sort of highbrow cuisine-based question. In Gavin and Stacey, Smithy famously orders chicken, lamb, and prawn versions of which moderately spicy Indian curry dish with no intention of sharing? So Smithy wants a chicken, a lamb, and a prawn what? Moderately spicy Indian curry dish. Question number 7. Which region produces the majority of France's white wine? Examples of wine from this region include Sancerre and Puy-Fumé. I pronounced that wrong, didn't I? Yeah. So just looking for the name of the wine region there. It's just turned up, has he? Right. Jack, if you're quick, you've still got a chance to beat Marshall. So if you can beat Marshall, having turned up at 9:20, I vote that we never ever let him forget that for the rest of his life. In fact, I'm going to change the questions, the remaining questions in this round, to questions to be about tortoises and biscuits. Okay, question number 8 in this round. The Hand and Flowers in Buckingham, Britain's own stars, is owned by which TV chef? His recent books include Fresh Start and How to Lose Weight for Good. What is it with TV chefs and like losing weight now? I always grew up believing that, not trusting a skinny chef and all that sort of thing, and now they're all at it. Saw the hairy bikers on TV the other day. Half the men they used to be. God, I miss going out for dinner. That is the thing I'm really missing the most, actually. And Les, obviously. Okay, question 9. The Sardinian cheese, Casu Marzu, described by Gordon Ramsay as the most dangerous cheese in the world, is unique and dangerous because it contains what inside of it? So what does the Sardinian cheese Casu Marzu contain inside of it that makes it unique and, in the words of Gordon Ramsay, dangerous? Question number 10. Which famously stylish restaurant in Copenhagen was named the world's best restaurant 3 years running and in 2019 was placed second? And I think a tasting menu here would set you back about 500 quid, including wine, not much less than 300 for lunch. It is really one of those super, super swanky places. I'd be interested to hear when we get the answer whether anyone's ever been. Somewhere I've always wanted to go. Question 11. Whiskey, vermouth, and Angostura bitters make which classy cocktail, which can be ordered sweet, dry, or perfect? And I sort of feel if you have the option to order something perfect, you probably should. Do you want me to make this perfect? No, subpar is fine. So what is the name of the cocktail made of whiskey, vermouth, and Angostura bitters, which can be ordered sweet, dry, or perfect? Question 11. Okay, question 12. Popular amongst those that would go to the Abington after work on a Friday. You know who you are, miss you. San Miguel Lager originates from which country? Question 13. What is the world's most widely used type of coffee bean, making up over 60% of global coffee consumption? Question number 14. Which spirit, sometimes considered hallucinogenic, is made with the flowers of the wormwood plant and green anise? And the final question of tonight's quiz, question 15. If you treat yourself to a delicious plate of scampi, which animal are you actually eating? So if you're eating scampi, which animal are you actually eating? Helen, originated from, and it's the place in which the company is also kind of historically based as well. So not where it's currently brewed. I'm gonna go through the questions one more time, and then you'll have a chance to submit your answer sheet. So if you missed any of those, just listen to them one more time. I'll go through them, and then you can submit your answers. So, question 1: which bow tie shaped pasta has a name which means butterflies? Question 2: gin, pineapple juice, and cherry brandy are the main ingredients of which cocktail, first mixed in the long bar of the Raffles Hotel around 1915? Question number 3: there are 6 officially recognised Scotch whisky distillery regions. For a point, name any 2 of them. Question 4: which meat dish made by frying a large piece of meat, fillet of tenderloin between 2 lesser pieces of meat, which are usually discarded afterwards? It is named after a French diplomat. Question number 5: in which country would you most likely be if you were eating gyros or souvlaki? Question 6: in Gavin and Stacey, Smithy famously orders chicken, lamb and prawn versions of which moderately spiced Indian curry dish and has no intention of sharing them? Question 7: which region produces the majority of France's white wine, including Sancerre and Puy-Fumé? Question 8: the Hand and Flowers in Buckingham, Britain's only pub with 2 Michelin stars, is owned by which TV chef? His recent books include Fresh Start and How to Lose Weight for Good. Question 9: the Sardinian cheese Casumarzu, described by Gordon Ramsay as the most dangerous cheese in the world, is unique because it contains what inside? Question 10: which stylish Copenhagen restaurant was named the world's best restaurant 3 years running and in 2019 was placed second? Question 11: whiskey, vermouth, Angostura bitters make which classy cocktail which can be ordered sweet, dry or perfect? Yeah, when you're ready, you can submit your answers. You don't have to wait for me. You can just fire them off whenever. Question 12: San Miguel Lager originates from which country? Question 13: what is the world's most widely used coffee bean, accounting for over 60% of the world's global coffee consumption? Question 14: which spirit, sometimes considered hallucinogenic, is made from the flowers of the wormwood plant and green anise? And question 15: if you're eating scampi, what animal are you actually eating? Say that one more time for me, Fred. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so we said the quiz would probably end around now. We were a little bit late to start, and we've perhaps given people a little bit more time. So we're about 10 minutes perhaps behind schedule. Within the next 10 minutes, if you make sure you submit your answers nice and promptly, that is now, we'll be able to get those marked. I will be able to give you the answers. I'll be able to give you the final scores on the doors. And you'll be able to go to bed or not go to bed because you've got nothing to get up for, most of you. Yeah, we will be able to say same time next week. So 10 more minutes and we should be all done. So if you submit those answers as soon as you are ready, that'll just allow us to get those marked and get the scores back to you. It's very close. Yeah, and Farad's just reminded me very rightly. You will have seen in the email that we initially sent that we did think that perhaps £1 sort of entry fee for this quiz, a sort of discretionary pound donation, if you will, per player. So probably £4 per team at most would be great. And we where are you thinking of that money going to, Farad? Is there a specific? Okay, so adding to the NSB charity week total for this year, anything that we were to raise, it is completely optional. It is, entirely up to you, and there's no pressure whatsoever. No, we're not going to publish a list of donors or anything like that. But if you do feel like this quiz has perhaps been worth £1, and you'd like to donate, see the information in Farad's initial all staff email. And if you haven't got that because you're a family team or friends, get someone to forward it on to you, and you can see the details on how to make that payment. We are planning on running this quiz for a sort of generally indeterminate amount of time, until interest dries up, or we lose the will to do it, or hopefully, things go back to normal and we don't have to do it anymore. So we won't sort of say, we'll be doing 5 quizzes, so pay for 5. Just maybe on a weekly basis, or wait until the end and then pay for the ones that you've done. But that would be hugely, hugely appreciated if you would do that. And we promise that we're not pocketing the money and putting it into a big pot for celebratory beers when this is all over. We are going to give it to charity. Just like none of you have cheated on tonight's quiz, we're not going to. Well, there you go. There's no interest in Farad's account because they've slashed all the interest rates. And frankly, a savings account is a luxury I've never bothered with. How are we looking? We got how many? Are answers coming in now? Entries coming in? Oh yeah, vast majority of them. In fact, yeah, basically all in. Yeah. Yeah. You want to mark them first before I go through the answers this time? Yeah. Yeah, and we haven't quite had them all submitted yet. Pear Tree, I think we're still waiting on your entry for the last round. There you go. As I said it. Thank you. And Tequila Mockingbird as well. Yours is still outstanding. Other than that, we are pretty much where we need to be. Yeah. Thank you for everyone that's saying we've done a good job. It's been a pleasure. I have done very little, actually. All I've done is write the questions and read them out. Farad's done all the work behind the scenes. He's the real genius here. But thank you, and it's been no trouble at all. It's been really, really good fun, and we're really glad to see so many people have played and enjoyed it. Jack, this is not an Apple product, actually. This is a Galaxy Bud. I'm fighting the huge Apple corporation with the humble indie software developer Samsung. I'm no corporate shill. Still, no, I think we've got everyone's in now, Farron, from what I can see. Tequila Mockingbirds has just come in. So that gives me my cue to stop with the not so witty banter and just get on with giving people the answers, which is what they want to hear. So, from the top, which bow tie shaped pasta has a name which means butterflies? That is farfalle. Farfalle is the little bow tie shaped pasta. Gin, pineapple juice, and cherry brandy are the main ingredients of the Singapore sling. If you don't know what's in it, because it's kind of a bit of a mishmash of everything, the clue is perhaps the Raffles Hotel, the famous hotel bar in Singapore, named after the British sort of colonialist who discovered or founded the colony of Singapore. Don't know exactly when, but certainly sometime before 1915. We did accept gin sling as well, if anyone put that, because that's what it was called when it was originally made. Question 3, 6 officially recognised Scotch whisky regions, and we needed any 2 of them for a point. You could have had the Lowlands, the Highlands, Speyside, Islay, the Islands, or Campbelltown. Islay and the Islands are distinct. Islay's got this really specific characteristic whiskey of it. So Lowlands, Highlands, Speyside, Islay, Islands, Campbelltown, and any 2 of those would have netted you a point. Even if you don't know your whiskey, Lowlands and Highlands, maybe worth a punt when we're talking Scotland. Question 4, the meat dish that is one big hunk of tenderloin in between 2 lesser pieces of meat that are then discarded, named after the French diplomats. It was named after Baron Chateaubriand, and it is a steak Chateaubriand. We have just accepted Chateaubriand. If you haven't put the steak, don't worry. Question 5, the country in which you'd most likely be if you were eating gyros or souvlaki. That is, of course, Greece. Did anyone put Cyprus, Mr. Sheridan? Did anyone put London or England? Good, thank you. Question 6, Gavin and Stacey, Smithy famously orders chicken, prawn, and lamb boona. No, not Tika. Chicken, lamb, and prawn boona. And he sees everyone else eyeing it up, and he says, "No, I'm not sharing it. I want to go and eat in my car. If you wanted a boona, you should have ordered a boona." Cutting right to the heart of the debate that rages around the country when it's takeaway time. Why is it that we just have to have little picky bits? Weird, isn't it? Question 7, the region that produces the majority of France's white wine is the Loire Valley, or just Loire. We've accepted any versions of that, as long as you've got Loire. Question 8, the TV chef who owns the Hand and Flowers pub, that 2 Michelin star pub, is Tom Kerridge. Big favourite on things like the Great British Menu, etc. Question number 9, the Sardinian cheese, Casu Marzu. Described by Gordon Ramsay as the most dangerous cheese in the world, is unique because it contains live maggots. Supposedly, it's a tradition in some parts of Sardinia where they leave, they make pecorino cheese, I think it is, and they leave it to rot. And then it gets sort of infested by fly eggs, and then they wait for the eggs to actually hatch into maggots, and then apparently the cheese is absolutely delicious. Haven't tried it, don't know if I want to, but some of you may have done. Some of you may be now very, very tempted. The famously stylish restaurant in Copenhagen, world's best restaurant 3 years running, and in 2019 was placed second. That is Noma, N-O-M-A, Noma. It's now got branches in Tokyo and I think in a few other locations as well. But yeah, that is a sort of a byword for super swanky restaurants around the world. I would love to know if anyone's been there in the chat, by the way, just out of pure curiosity. I'd love to know if anyone's been there. Question 11, the cocktail that is made of whiskey, vermouth, and Angostura bitters that can be ordered sweet, dry, or perfect is the Manhattan. Question 12, San Miguel Lager originates from the Philippines. I know, Helen, you were asking on the technicalities of that question, but it was never originally brewed in Spain. It was obviously Spanish people. They went out and they decided they wanted to set up a brewery in Southeast Asia, and they made Spanish quality beer, but from the Philippines. Yeah. It is, and it's probably in the category of a trick question, or one that you know if you know. But everyone thinks of it as Spanish lager, but it is from the Philippines. Question 13: the world's most widely used type of coffee bean. You see it on packets of coffee, 100% Arabica. Arabica. Over 60%. Most of the rest is Robusta, and then it's small varieties and things like that. Question 14: the spirit made of wormwood and green anise, amongst other things, is absinthe. Popular amongst French bohemians of the 18th and 19th century. The Green Fairy, you might know it from Moulin Rouge. It's absinthe. And finally, if you are treating yourself to a delicious plate of scampi, you are eating lobster, specifically the tail of the North Sea lobster. So now we couldn't accept and won't accept prawns or langoustines, even though I think possibly in Ireland it's sometimes referred to as a something prawn. It is very much the genus lobster, and in most countries it's referred to as lobster. So it is lobster, and if you want to dispute that answer, don't, because it won't achieve anything. Okay, so that is the last set of answers. Farid, are you ready with the final league table? Okay, 2 minutes. Let's never say that we skimp on the suspense in this quiz. Ria and Eddie, would I accept Manila for San Miguel? Farid, what do you think of the country Manila? Hang on, did I say where or which country? Because if I only said where, then I'll have to accept Manila, and it will be uncharacteristically. No, it does say which country, I'm afraid. So I'm going to assume that that Farid has marked that as incorrect. Augustine is Norwegian. Yeah, the Dublin Bay prawn is what I was saying there. It's referred to as a prawn, but it is not actually a prawn. Let me just. I'll do a little bit of double checking on this one, just to be absolutely sure that I'm not giving you partially correct or faulty information. And I'm just going to do a little bit of confirmation on. So some people have correctly called me out on this one. Farid, and I'm sorry to have to change this around a little bit. Langoustine is a correct answer. Langoustine is a correct answer because the North Sea lobster is also known as langoustine. Thank you for anyone that's corrected me on that one. However, prawn is still incorrect. It's Nephrops norvegicus, which is not a prawn, despite what it's sometimes called. So langoustine, yes. Prawn, no. And if anyone specifically said Dublin Bay prawn, yeah, that seems fair. If they've specifically said Dublin Bay prawn, we'll give that as well, as it's the correct genus. Yeah, go on in. Yeah, so langoustine, Dublin Bay prawn, and lobster have all been accepted as correct answers. So thank you for pulling me up on that. Nothing else is being accepted. Abby, the mask of class there falling from her face as she references her surf and turf at Wetherspoons. No, not shrimp. Not shrimp. Right, so we are now ready for the final table. And let's be honest, for most of you, griping over a single point is not going to make a blind bit of difference. So the final table, and I'm not going to go from the bottom all the way up. That would be cruel. I'm going to go from the 45s and above. 45 and above, a respectable score, 45 and above out of 60. So with 45 points, there are a few teams, Blue and Reds, the newly quarantined teachers, and the Morels, all on 45. So let's give them a round of applause. Oh, wait, no, it's a one-way stream. Sorry, that's just me. On 46, let's get quizzical. Well done. On 47, Quarantine Edwards. On 48, Pear Tree, no fix here. On 49, Financy Our Chances, which brings us into the top 5. And there is a point between each of these teams, and no one is on the same score. And that is with the slight little changes to lobsters and the like. In 5th place is Aid Hugh Woodolds. That is John Elder, Johnny Hewitt, Claire Alderson, and Bex on 50, a very respectable 51 season quizzes that they are. On 52, edging ahead perhaps because of a late change to marking on Longestine, Dublin Bay Prawn, etc. Oh, the controversy, I'm sure, is Quiz Read. Well done. That's Helen, Justine, Sarah, and Abby, I think. The Sheridan family, I think, in 3rd place with 53. That's Oh, Purgatory Does Exist, which comes to the top 2. The Tom Winfield Fan Club finish, having held top spot for a fair few rounds now, deserved winners of the first week of the quiz on 56 out of 60. Only dropping 4 points throughout the whole quiz is the Welch's Disassemble, which I believe it would be Gemma's team. So she started well by getting the numbers of quizzes accurately, and she and family have won the day. So before we say good night, we've obviously got the cries of fix coming in, which we expect. Imagine how much worse it would have been if Richard had entered the team. There would have been a surprising number of questions on Gillingham. It is Gillingham, isn't it? Yeah, good. Just checking. So well done, Gemma and team. Hugely impressive score. We are planning on running this again same time next week. Hopefully start a little bit earlier and finish a little bit earlier. But I believe, Farid, entry will be exactly the same. We'll send out the email. People can register and do exactly the same before. We're going to ask for completely new entries, even if they already played this week, just so we know. Cool. Okay, so the form will ask you if you entered last week, and if so, you can keep the same name. So yeah, other than that, thank you very, very much for playing. Well done for everybody who participated, and especially the Welches. Yeah, hopefully we will see you this time next week. Thank you very much. And I'm going to end the stream right now. Thanks and good night. Do you want to say anything, Farid? Final league table and question breakdown has just been published. Thanks, everybody. Bye.